When folks think of American trucks, they picture raw muscle, big frames, booming engines, and the kind of grit that could haul a mountain if you asked it to. But behind those steel workhorses lies something even more powerful, a legacy. These weren't just machines built to move freight. They were built to move a nation. And over the decades, some of them did it so well, and in such small numbers, they became legends. In this video, we're taking a trip through time to uncover 10 of the rarest, most unforgettable American trucks ever built. From streamlined cab-overs that once zipped through tight city streets to hulking beasts forged for the mines and backwoods, each one tells a story of innovation, endurance, and purpose. Some you might remember, others you've likely never seen, but all of them deserve their moment in the spotlight because they're not just trucks, they're milestones, symbols, and maybe, just maybe, one of them rumbled past you once when you were a kid, leaving behind nothing but diesel smoke and a lasting impression. Number 10, 1960s GMC L Series. Back in the early 1960s, progress wasn't just something you read about, it was something you could drive. And with the GMC L Series, progress came with a wide stance, smooth curves, and just a hint of space-age ambition. This was the jet age after all, and even the workhorses were starting to dream a little bigger. At first glance, the L Series stood out for its drop-center frame, which lowered the cab and gave the truck a more stable, grounded feel. But what really set it apart was the ride. GMC borrowed a page from its passenger cars, giving this truck torsion bar suspension up front and coil springs in the rear, a setup that delivered comfort without sacrificing strength. Under the hood, plenty of choices: inline sixes for those who valued economy, V8s for those who needed muscle. But it was the Target Master 350 that found its way into countless builds, known for being reliable, torquey, and easy to service. The L Series didn't scream for attention. It just showed up, did the job, and looked good doing it. And in a decade obsessed with style and speed, that made it something rare, a truck that worked like a beast but moved with grace. Number 9, 1991. GMC WG64. If the L Series was about grace in motion, the GMC WG64 was all about grit. This was a truck that didn't care about chrome or curves. It was square, it was tall, and it looked like it could drive through a wall, and maybe even back up and do it again. Built in the early 90s under the white GMC badge, the WG64 wasn't flashy, but it got noticed for one reason: it could work. Under that bold, blocky hood sat a Caterpillar diesel engine, paired with an 8-speed manual transmission that gave drivers the control they needed when hauling serious weight. And hauling was what it did best. The WG64 came equipped with a 12-ton dry fertilizer box, a hydraulic auger system, and even a manual tarp to protect the load, making it a favorite on farms and in fields across America. With its spring suspension, high ground clearance, and air brakes, it handled uneven terrain and heavy loads without breaking a sweat. But production didn't last long. As more advanced models came in, the WG64 quietly disappeared from dealer lots. Today, it's a rare find. But for those who remember it, the WG64 was more than a truck. It was a dependable partner that earned its keep the hard way. Number 8. Early 1990. Sterling 9500. If there was ever a truck that defined the phrase "no nonsense," it was the Sterling 9500. This wasn't a machine built to impress onlookers or win beauty contests. It was built to show up, shut up, and get to work, day in and day out. And for the folks who drove them, that's exactly what made the 9500 special. With its 8-liter diesel engine, the Sterling didn't chase speed. It delivered torque, raw, usable pulling power, the kind of grunt you needed on construction sites, in gravel pits, or hauling loads through mud-soaked back roads. Its reinforced frame, dual rear axles, and heavy-duty suspension weren't built for comfort. They were built to endure. Visibility was excellent, thanks to a wide cab with tall glass all around, an underrated advantage when threading through tight job sites. And while it lacked the brand flash of Peterbilt or Kenworth, those who knew trucks knew this one. The 9500 earned quiet respect from seasoned drivers for one reason. It never gave up. You won't find many left. Most were worked into the ground. But that's the point. The Sterling 9500 wasn't built to be remembered. It was built to be relied on. And that's exactly what it did. Number 7. 1970s to 1990s, Kenworth K100. Some trucks were built to haul freight. Others, like the Kenworth K100, hauled freight and turned heads doing it. With its unmistakable flat-nose cab-over design, the K100 became one of the most iconic shapes ever to roll down an American highway. And it wasn't just about looks, it was a masterpiece of form-meeting function. At a time when trailer-length regulations pushed engineers to get creative, Kenworth answered with a bold, compact cab-over that didn't waste an inch. But they didn't stop there. Working with aeronautics researchers, Kenworth developed the Aerodyne Sleeper, a raised roof cabin with over 7 feet of standing room, giving long-haul drivers a little luxury on the road. The result? Better airflow, improved fuel economy, and a driving experience that felt years ahead of its time. It wasn't just easier on the wallet, it was easier on the body too. And with that signature square profile and sloped windshield, the K100 became a visual landmark on America's interstates. Today, fully restored K100s are proudly displayed at truck shows and vintage rallies, reminding us that utility doesn't have to be boring, and that sometimes the best way to move freight is with style, strength, and a little swagger. Number 6. 1940s-1950s, Brockway 260X. If there was ever a truck that looked like it could survive a war and still finish the job on time, it was the Brockway 260X. With thick steel bars covering the front grille like armor, this machine didn't just look tough, it was tough. Built for punishment and made to last, the 260X was the kind of truck you sent into places where lesser rigs didn't come back. Under the hood sat a massive displacement engine, churning out the kind of torque needed to pull heavy loads through mud, rock, or raw wilderness. It wasn't about refinement, it was about brute force. And behind the wheel, you'd find a driver with calloused hands and real skill, because the 260X came with a traditional manual gearbox that didn't forgive sloppy shifts. Oversized mirrors gave operators the visibility they needed to maneuver this beast safely, whether on narrow forest roads or tight quarry paths. And when it comes to reliability, few trucks from its era can match what this one delivered in the roughest conditions imaginable. Today, surviving 260Xs are few and far between. But those that remain are treasured by restorers and collectors, not just for their rarity, but for their sheer presence. You didn't just drive a Brockway 260X, you commanded it. Number 5, 1955 to 1957, white WC22 PLT. After the brute strength of the Brockway, the white WC22 PLT offers a different kind of rarity. one built on elegance, efficiency, and just a touch of forgotten charm. Produced for only 2 short years, this light-duty workhorse wasn't made to conquer the wilderness, it was made to conquer the city. With its streamlined, aerodynamic shape, the WC22 PLT looked like it belonged more on a speedway than a loading dock. But make no mistake, this was still a truck at heart. Powered by a naturally aspirated 386 cubic inch inline-6, it delivered smooth, steady power and a level of reliability drivers quickly came to trust. What really set it apart was its compact size and maneuverability. In an era when trucks were getting bigger and bulkier, the WC22 was nimble, ideal for weaving through narrow urban streets or pulling up to tight loading bays. Inside, the cab was Spartan but driver-friendly, with controls that were simple, intuitive, and built to last. Today, the WC22 PLT is nearly impossible to find. Most were worked hard and retired quietly. But for collectors and restorers, it's become a kind of unicorn, a sleek little hauler that proved not every great truck had to be loud to be legendary. Number 4, 1936 to 1938, Mack AK. Long before streamlined cabs and turbo diesels, there was the Mack AK, a truck that looked like it came out swinging and never stopped. Built in the late 1930s, this pre-war powerhouse was one of the toughest, most forward-thinking machines of its time. And today, it stands as a rare reminder of what American trucking looked like when steel was thick, roads were rough, and every mile had to be earned. What set the AK apart wasn't just its strength, it was its style. The rounded cab and smooth curves made it look decades ahead of the boxy rigs it shared the road with. Under the hood, a large displacement inline-6 gasoline engine delivered solid torque for hauling heavy loads through farmland, construction zones, or barely there dirt trails. But it wasn't a truck for beginners. The AK came with a non-synchronized transmission, which meant double clutching was a must. Some versions even featured a 2-speed rear axle, offering more flexibility when pulling under strain. Few survived the passage of time, war, and hard labor, but those that did are cherished today as rolling artifacts, symbols of Mack's early dominance and the grit of a generation that built America from the ground up, one hard-earned load at a time. Number 3, 1986, to present Kenworth T800. If there's one truck that's earned its stripes across just about every job site and stretch of highway in America, it's the Kenworth T800. Introduced in 1986 and still in production today, the T800 didn't just follow trends, it helped set them. Built to do it all and keep doing it, this was the truck that proved versatility and durability weren't just marketing terms. They were a way of life. The first thing you noticed was that sloped hood, a smart, aerodynamic design that cut through wind, boosted visibility, and improved fuel economy without sacrificing toughness. Beneath it, you had options, engines ranging from 400 to 600 horsepower, sourced from trusted names like Cummins, Caterpillar, and PACCAR. It wasn't just what powered it, it was how you controlled it. Drivers could spec a 12-speed automatic for ease, or go old school with a full 18-speed manual for maximum control. And whether it was hauling steel beams across state lines or grinding through the mud of a remote construction site, the T800 took it in stride. Early models are now collector favorites, prized not for being rare, but for being reliable to the core. In an industry where machines come and go, the Kenworth T800 is one that never needed to be flashy. It just needed to work, and it still does. Number 2, 1977 to 1993, Mack Superliner. Some trucks whispered capability. The Mack Superliner growled it through a square jaw and a chrome grille the size of a barn door. Built for the toughest loads and the longest stretches of blacktop, this was Mack's answer to the high horsepower, long-haul demands of the late 70s and beyond. And it didn't disappoint. Its unmistakable boxy front end wasn't just for looks, it housed serious muscle. Drivers could choose the dependable E7 inline-6 or step up to the fearsome E9 V8, a true powerhouse built for the heaviest payloads America's highways could throw at it. Whether paired with a Fuller manual or an Allison automatic, the Superliner gave drivers the strength and control to tame any load. Inside, the cab evolved with the times. Early versions featured a classic 3-spoke wheel, later replaced with a sleeker 2-spoke design. But no matter the generation, the feel was the same: solid, mechanical, and unmistakably Mack. Today, the Superliner is more than just a retired rig. It's a showpiece, a head-turner, and a tribute to a time when trucks were unapologetically bold. It didn't just get the job done, it made an entrance doing it. Number 1, 1953 to 1966, Mack B61. Before the chrome, before the cab-overs, before trucking became sleek and streamlined, there was the Mack B61. And for many, this is where the legend truly began. With its broad, boxy stance, proud bulldog hood ornament, and unmistakable silhouette, the B61 became one of the most recognizable and respected trucks ever to roll across American roads. What made it a game-changer was what lay beneath. This was the first Mack to run the now famous Thermodyne inline-6 diesel, a tough, torque-heavy engine that redefined what a working truck could do. It wasn't about top speed, it was about durability, pulling power, and the ability to haul day after day, year after year, without complaint. From construction sites and farm fields to interstate highways, the B61 proved itself everywhere it went. It was simple, it was rugged, and it never asked for more than fuel, grease, and a driver who knew how to double clutch. Far from fading into history, the B61 holds a special place in American truck culture. Fully restored examples are proudly displayed at shows, lovingly maintained in private collections, or still out there, doing what they were built to do. It's not just a truck, it's the truck, the one that set the tone for everything that came after. These weren't just trucks, they were time machines on wheels. Each one carried more than freight. They carried eras, memories, and the spirit of American grit. Some were loud, some were humble, but all of them had something to say. And for those who listened, they left a mark that never really faded. So tell us, which one took you by surprise? Have you ever seen, driven, or even just admired one of these legends up close? Share your story in the comments. We'd love to hear your memories, your experiences, or even just the one truck that stole your heart. And if you enjoyed this ride through trucking history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because there are plenty more legends waiting in the wings, just waiting for their engines to turn over again.